Hey, how's it going? Welcome to this episode of Niche Spotlight. So it's Ollie here. Today we're going to be analysing the disposable aprons niche. Kind of random, isn't it? It's always kind of random, right? But hey, the money's in the boring products. So, should you sell this or not? Well, we're going to be using our handy Smash It product analysis cheat sheet. As always, you can get this with a link in the description. And yeah, let's break this down. So starting, as usual, with revenue. Are there 3 sellers making £3,000 a month in sales? Well, we can see pretty clearly there is. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sellers making 3k a month. There's a couple who are making 2k a month, so they're almost doing that. And the best seller's doing about 25,000 a month right now, which is pretty impressive. So yeah, there's certainly demand for this. How about levels of competition? Are there 5 or less established sellers, and are there any brands? Let's have a look. So we're going to sort by number of reviews. Now, as you can see, there's quite a few established sellers. I just want to double check for duplicates, see how many there are. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think these two are the same. 7, I think these two are the same, and 8, possibly 9. So we're looking at about 9 established sellers. This is interesting. So there's not 5 or less. There's no brands from what I can see. I don't really recognize any of these companies, to be honest with you. I don't think the brand name would influence the customer to buy one over the other, which is what we really care about. So I'm not really bothered about that. What about hassle levels then? Could you make it yourself? I mean, yes. In theory, if you had sheets of plastic, you could cut them into aprons. I mean, it's not that complicated. That means it's easy to manufacture, which is a really good sign. Is it a low hassle category? I mean, what category are these listed in? Maybe we should have a look at one of the listings, see what they have listed it in, because could it be home and kitchen? Possibly, if you're going to use them at home. I assume hospitals would use these. I'd assume... I mean, who knows? Care homes, I mean, I don't know where they're used mostly. Is it in the home? Well, we'll find out when we see what these sellers are listing them in. Business, industry, and science. Interesting. Okay, so they could be listed in science. Now, that's not necessarily, a low hassle category. So I'm going to say no. However, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to cause us a problem, because it is just a piece of plastic. But I'm going to do what the spreadsheet says, the cheat sheet says, and put no. Is it seasonal? No, I don't think so. I don't think it's seasonal. We can double check by looking at, a couple of the sales history of some of these products and see if there's any clear spikes. When I reviewed the barbecue tools set in the previous video, I mean, you could see a big spike every summer. This one does have spikes, but it looks to me like that's just a day where probably a hospital or care home or whatever, or a lab, has ordered a bulk of these, like 52 units in one go. Maybe this day 80. And they don't seem to be at any particular time of year. It's just probably when a business needs a bunch of them. Other than that, all year round seems to be similar kind of sales. So I'm going to say at a glance, no, this is not seasonal. What about dimensions? Now, obviously, we're not buying just one unit. We're buying packs of 100. So how heavy are they? Well, 37 by 12 by 8, 820 grams. Should be relatively easy to import and sell a load of these. It should just about fit in a shoebox. And they're not too heavy. So if you've got 300 units, wouldn't be too difficult to transport them. And it won't be too difficult to ship them to customers. So that's what we're looking at really when it comes to dimensions and weight, and they look pretty healthy. What about gap in the market? Now, this is one of the most important metrics. They're all important, but in terms of making the sales, the gap is hugely important. If there's no gap, then why would the customers buy your product compared to all these other sellers who have got great offers with lots of reviews? The answer is going to be because of the gap. The thing that you do to fill the gap, to separate your product from everybody else's. So how do we find the gap? Well, we look at the reviews, see what the problems are. very thin, ripped, poor quality, not good for the job, flimsy, not knee length. So they're small and they're thin and they're bad quality is what people are saying about this one. Now this is the lower end of the marketplace. I mean, they're $365. Probably what I'd expect from a product that's that cheap. Let's take maybe a product that's at the opposite end of the market, maybe the most expensive one, you know, that's getting decent sales. So perhaps we could take a $34.99 or maybe a $14.99. Sells very well. You know, it's a lot more expensive, 4 times more expensive than maybe 5 times more expensive than the one we just looked at. Does it have many reviews? Doesn't seem to have any reviews, which by the way is a very good sign. It means this could be a beacon product because they probably just launched it and it's performing very well. And let's see if there's any others we can have a look at. Number of reviews. The ones with high reviews are the cheap ones. Let's have a look at this one, NRS Healthcare. This one's $13.98, so it's a little bit, definitely more expensive than that £3 one. Appalling, completely useless, binned, flimsy, cut wrongly, flimsy, thin. Interesting. So it looks like a gap in the market could be better quality aprons. Remember, if a business is going to be ordering these, then businesses have cash. Yes, they want to save money where they can, but they have a budget for these things and they're going to be interested in the quality. So could possibly better quality, maybe charge a little bit more, coming at the premium end. That could be a gap. Are there any bundles? Let's have a look. So obviously we've got lots of, you know, packs of aprons with 100 units or whatever. Have they bundled it with anything else? I can't see any, to be honest. This one has a combo pack with shoe covers. Okay, so that's a bundle, fair enough. So there's one bundle. I don't know if I can really see any others. So, yeah. Not no bundles, but certainly not many bundles. So all in all then, how would we score this? Well, starting with high demand, I mean, there's a lot of sellers doing well in this niche, which is obviously a good sign. You know, customers obviously need the product, lots of sales happening, best sellers doing 25k. So yeah, I'd say the demand is pretty solid. It's not the highest I've seen, but it's pretty solid. Maybe give it like a 15 out of 20. What about low competition? Well, it's not exactly low competition. How many did we count? Was it 7 established sellers, which means it's medium competition. It's not, you know, shark-infested waters and impossible to compete, but there will be competition. So I'm maybe going to give it, I don't know, maybe an 11 actually out of 20, because it's still doable, but it's not ideal. What about low hassle? Well, very easy to make. Not necessarily a low hassle category, but not a problem category. You know, it's not electronics, for example. Not seasonal, good dimensions. For low hassle, I'm going to give it maybe a 17 out of 20 because it's very low hassle. You know, if you want to get a 20 out of 20, then you want a really small, really light product. Like that's what we're looking at. So it's not quite really small and light, but it's not massive. It's within the dimensions. I think 17 is fair. What about gap? Well, there is one bundle on the page. There's definitely a common theme of that low quality, thin, flimsy, badly cut aprons. So I think there's a lot of room to add value to this niche. I'm going to give it a 16 out of 20 for gap. Finally, what about hunch? Hunch, I just tend to use my experience as a seller and as just a business owner for the past decade to just say, how do I feel about this product? You know, what are the things that maybe you wouldn't put in the rest of the cheat sheet, but I could flag as potential issues? Well, price point, a little bit on the low side. Now, I'm not too worried about it because there is room for more premium end versions of the product, better quality. And some of them sell for $14.99, $13.99. A couple of them sell for £35. So, you know, I think you could come in at maybe $19.99 with a good quality product and compete. But it's not, you know, a high ticket product. It's not a product where we're seeing everybody charge upwards of £30. So yeah, margins might be a little bit slim. In terms of shipping, I think it should be fine. It's nice to see that businesses seem to order this in quantity, so you might get 50 units on one day all of a sudden out of nowhere, which is great to see. And so I feel pretty good about this product. Pretty easy to sell, should sell all year round. The competition's a little bit on the high side, but it's not crazy. I think this is something I would go for. I'm going to give it a 15 out of 20 on hunch. So, where does that leave us? Well, let's add these up. 15 plus 11 plus 17 plus 16 plus 15, 74 out of 100. Really not a bad product at all. Definitely boring, right? Definitely not glamorous, and that's a good thing. It'll sit there, it'll sell, businesses will come along and buy a load of them. Should be good.